I awoke shivering as I rubbed my eyes, attempting to adjust them to the darkness swallowing my bedroom. I noticed the open window across the room. The curtains danced delicately as a chilly night's air gushed through them. For a second, I relished in the beauty of it, smiling weakly as I did so. The smell of the air was intoxicating as it rushed towards me, causing goosebumps to rise all over my body as I threw my exposed legs over the edge of my bed. A hint of dewy grass permeated throughout the air as my feet slowly met with the cold, hardwood floors beneath me. I muttered to myself as the moon's rays seeped through the window's glass, creating a shadow that appeared upon my skin as I approached it. "Mom," I whispered, recalling the countless nights she would invade my room as I slept, opening my window. She had a strange obsession with turning off the air conditioner at night. As all parents swore by day, she felt the cold air conditioner caused illness. Although through that fury had been long disproved, still, even though if her fury was justified, I would be befouled to pneumonia and eventually due to my exposure. Why on earth would the cold of the night be excluded from the desolational psychosis? After a brief debate within my own mind, I turned my attention back to the open window. As I closed it, I looked out over the sleeping neighborhood. It was so peaceful out to open. Knowingly everyone slept oblivious to the beauty surrounding them as they dreamt, and was mind-boggling to me. Even though I was awoken prematurely from my own dreams, I was proud to at least have gotten the chance to see the beauty of the night so many missed out on. Once the window had it secure and locked, I turned my back towards the bed, hoping it was diminishing warmth, and closed my eyes. Once the darkness of my own eyelids enveloped me, I heard something strange. The sound reminded me of the countless days in school when everyone shuffled and snuffed through the air, through their bags and attempting to find a book that they knew they had left at home. Immediately my eyes shot open, and I arose from my stunned slumber. There at the edge of my bed was a darkened figure. Shock immediately rushed throughout my body, alerting the hairs on the back of my neck into action. "Alexandra," it spoke, as its voice deepened rasp. As if it wasn't already frightened enough, its horrifying dry voice and the fact that it knew my name added to the increasing anxiety as my heart raced, beating against my chest as a hammer to nail. The being grew close, slithering towards me as a snake would its prey. "What?" I shuddered as my black mist surrounded us. The hood over its head, providing a significant shadow to hide its face within, seemed to move as agile as the running water. Iridescent glow of the radiating off of the back of its cloak, captivating me momentarily as I stared upon it. Once my trance has broken and the amazement was more replaced by overwhelming fear, within its hands, a dusty book came into view. Although I was trembling, choking the thick black fog within the air, I couldn't take my eyes off of the erratic book resting in the being's hands. "I wish you to read a little tale," it said, looking down at the book. The atmosphere seemed to have thickened, almost as if a running car was present. The creature convoyed no signs of discomfort, and it, in no rush whatsoever, nestled into a cozy position. As it cleared its throat, realizing a heap of dust in the air, I sat still, unwilling to make the slightest of the movements in fear if one particular creature would do so I reject its reading. All logic would suggest that I was experiencing some sort of lucid nightmare, but the chills down my spine felt real, and so did the thing sitting adjacent to me, even though I knew it couldn't be here. There was a little girl who lived in a sleeping town. She snuck out of her house, meeting up with her friends against her parents' strict curfew. After so much to drink, she hitched a ride with a boy, and she had met at the bonfire. Her friends were too drunk to take her home. As they drove, the boy decided to ride home would not be free. The girl explained that she had no money, but the boy shrugged his shoulders, and he explained that money wasn't the only way to settle debt. Immediately the girl shook her head, asking the boy to stop the car. But he didn't comply. Instead, he slapped her across the face, threatening her as he did so. It said as its tone darkening as it turned the page. The girl didn't have really much of a choice in the matter as the boy pulled over to the side of the road, locking the doors of his car. No matter how hard she screamed or how much strength she put into fighting back, the boy did not let up. Her efforts were fruitless, it said, glancing at me dramatically before turning back the book. After the debt was settled, the boy unlocked the car and let the girl go. Once she was sure that he was gone, she wiped away the freezing tears falling from her eyes. Being that she was miles away from home, she began walking, clutching onto her sides as she proceeded down the street. She began to wonder why no one else was around when she walked into the barren road, the wind flowing within her raven hair as she did so. The chilly night's breeze traveled up her nostrils, causing her to wrap her shivering arms tighter around her torso, in an attempt to keep warm. She continued walking aimlessly, searching for someone to assist her. Her efforts were fruitless, it said, turning the page of the book. As it spoke, I stared intently upon it, as if a child being read a bedtime story. I couldn't look away. I couldn't move. All of my will had been removed and placed in its own hands. The girl wandered around the neighborhood, the streets flickering overhead as she began shouting. She wanted so badly for someone to answer back her calls. But her attempts were fruitless, it said, turning the page once more. Finally, she saw lights approaching from afar. Instinctively, the girl ran towards it, waving her arms in the air frantically as the lights grew close, it said, clearing its throat as it turned the page. But the girl's happiness quickly disintegrated as she recognized the car. It was the same vehicle she had been held captive within minutes prior. Flashbacks of vicious attacks replayed in slow motion within her head as she began crying hysterically. She wanted so badly to run, dodging the car driving recklessly towards her. But she was hurt. She didn't have enough time to respond. She only had the time to blink before the lights blinded her. The indescribable pain intended at the base of her pelvis, it said, licking its bony finger before turning the page. She laid on the half-salt pavement, choking on her own blood. Her eyes searched for someone to help her, but all she could do is watch as the lights diminish from the neighborhood, leaving her to die alone within the darkness, it said, before closing the book. Slowly, the being stood up, lowering its hood as it reveals its eyes without irises. I'll be on my way now. I have others to read to, it said, stretching his unlonged arm towards me before caressing my shivering cheek with its index finger. Just as swift as the words escaped from its mouth, it flew open the window. Black mist is trailing closely behind it. Once it vanished, the sight of the black mist evaporating in the air, I regained my control of my body. I let a loud cry, shaking uncontrollably, as I stared out of the window the creature had escaped from. "Mom!" I yelled, afraid to get out of bed. No answer. "Mom!" I repeated, slowly lowering my feet onto the cold floor. But it wasn't the wood beneath my feet I felt. The ground was rough, almost like asphalt. Quickly, I realized I was outside standing in the middle of the street. Hello? The street's lights overhead flickered as the cold breeze blew my hair, crossed my arms, attempting to harbor my warm body once the thought of the refuge in. Hello? I shouted, my voice cracking with anxiety washed over me. In the distance, a faint light appeared. I wandered towards it, waving its arms at me at the air to attract the passerby's attention. Hey, I need help! I yelled, walking towards the light. The light grew, expanding the illumination throughout the neighborhood. Worry began seeping out of my skin as I noticed how fast the light was approaching. Rather quickly, I realized the light had diverged from the headlights of a vehicle. Unwilling to fall victim to a hit and run, I turned to run away, but I tripped over something. There lying in the middle of the street was a girl. I approached her, kneeling down as the headlights from the speeding car provided just enough light to illuminate where her body laid. Are you, I trailed off. I once saw the girl's face. Of all the night's events became clear. She wasn't just some random girl I tripped over accidentally. She was me. No, wake up, I yelled, cradling my own head. My body was limp. All signs of life were gone. No, I said, lowering myself to the ground before standing it up weakly. I thought I was scared, confused and angry. I turned towards the headlights. You monster! I screamed, running towards the car. The car sped up, rematching my anger-driven enthusiasm. But when we met, I passed through the car as if it wasn't there. I then turned to look behind me, and there was no sign of that car or its headlights. All I could see in the distance were the flashing red and blue lights. So instead of denying my reality, instead of rejecting the truth, I sat beside my bloodied body and watched as the ambulance grew close. As it approached, I could only think about that mysterious being that awoke me in the middle of my slumber. A cold chill went through my body just then. I reminisced upon the dusty old book within the figure's hand in a raspy voice. I mouthed out the words of my own demise before closing my eyes as the sirens tore asunder the peaceful night. And that, my little pretties, was a bedtime story. A creepypasta written by GreyOwl. My final thoughts on this story? Well, I could definitely say it's a pretty good creepypasta, actually. I did hear of this story from Silver Stories, and I just thought, you know what, I'll go ahead and read this story, because I have never read this story, in a while. Basically, this is the protagonist doing what he's normally doing. Well, probably just, doing what he does at night when all of a sudden, some creepy shit happens. Now, the story I could definitely say is, whatever that figure was, actually was trying to do some really crazy stuff. Mainly, this protagonist wakes up and then starts to go over to see, that the girl who got hit by a car was this protagonist. I have a feeling this is probably just some dream or something, because the protagonist seems to be having this sort of weird ass dream. I mean, I think this protagonist also suffered a bit of sleep paralysis with that figure when the black figure was telling a story or something. But yet again, I mean, I don't know what to think. I mean, I would like to believe that this was a dream, but at the same time, I don't really know, because there's so many theories as to what could have happened. But yet again, I mean, everyone who has read this story maybe can give out their thoughts on it. I mean, I didn't think this was terrible or anything. I thought that this was a pretty neat story for what it is. So, I have to say, the grammar of the story is good. I like the grammar as well as the sentence structuring, the storyline. Everything about this story just went out beautifully. Like, it's not cliched or anything like that. I mean, it's a pretty good original story. Even though this is like an older story, I still find this one to be enjoyable possible in a much matter warm sense, if you will. So, and this is on the regular Creepypasta Wiki too, so if you guys want to read it, feel free to give it a shot at narrating this story, because I have a feeling you may like this story. If you want to find a good story to narrate, I recommend this one. So, with that being said, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with the story, but I would like to maybe see more of it, like maybe a sequel, or perhaps maybe a little bit more added to the story of what happens after that. Like, was it a nightmare? Was it like a hallucination? What was it? That was actually one of the good questions that has been, spiraling around my mind when I read this story. But yet again, I mean, you guys can state your own opinions in the comments below, because I would like to hear what you guys think. So I guess with that being the case, and with that being said, like I'm just to say, this is just my own personal opinion. If you happen if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly okay too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is just simply my own personal thoughts. Now, my final rating of the story is a 10 out of 10. It's a great story, definitely well written. It's a pretty interesting one, but I also would like to have, to see some more of what happened after that. Was like a hallucination or something? I mean, I would like it if the author explained more of it in the comments below, because that would honestly really help out a lot. But yet again, I mean, it's an older story, so maybe if the author of the story manages to see it, maybe he or they, them can comment in the comments below. Because yeah, I guess we'll see what you guys think. Like, what did you guys think about this story? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you're brand new here to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. As always, please roll the outro, because I'm out.